After beginning the season ranked number 4 in the AP Top 25, Kentucky failed to receive a single vote in this week's poll amid a 1-3 start to SEC play marked by an embarrassing 78-52 loss at Alabama on Saturday, which was followed by a 71-68 loss to South Carolina on Tuesday that snapped a 28-game winning streak at Rupp Arena for the Wildcats. At number 46 in the net with an 0-4 record in Quad 1 games, the Wildcats are a profound disappointment after returning National Player of the Year Oscar Tshiebwe along with other key players such as Xavier Wheeler and Jacob Toppin from a 26-18. On the heels of a stunning upset loss to number 15 seed St. Peter's in the first round of last year's NCAA tournament, frustration with 14th-year coach John Calipari is at an all-time high within the UK fanbase. The program's last win in the Big Dance came in 2019, and it suddenly appears as if there are no guarantees that 2023 will bring one. But 2 months remain until Selection Sunday and Kentucky still has time to turn things around. Five-star freshmen Casson Wallace and Chris Livingston have each shown encouraging flashes and should only improve as the season progresses. Sharpshooting guard CJ Frederick should also return from a finger injury at some point during league play. The range of outcomes for the Wildcats remains vast, and the saga of Calipari's tenure reaching a critical juncture figures to capture the sport's collective attention for weeks to come. For this week's edition of the Dribble Handoff, our writers are offering their projections for how the rest of Kentucky's season will play out. Kentucky has been unimpressive all season and doesn't seem on the verge of turning things around. The Wildcats just got blasted at Alabama by 26 points. They're 3-3 in their past 6 games, still in possession of 0 quadrant 1 wins and down to 45th in the net, 56th at BartTurbic.com and 62nd at KPI. UK looks like a possible bubble team. At this point, I'm skeptical the Wildcats will ever live up to the preseason expectations that have them ranked number 1 at KenPom.com, in the top 5 basically everywhere and labeled as SEC favorites, but I still think they'll land on the right side of the bubble and make the NCAA tournament. And then, who knows? A year ago, UK had a great regular season followed by a terrible NCAA tournament. This year could conceivably be the opposite, a disappointing regular season followed by a nice NCAA tournament. The Wildcats still have the reigning CBS Sports National Player of the Year Oscar Tshiebwe, and a projected lottery pick Casson Wallace. It's not the most talented roster John Calipari has ever assembled, but it's still a more talented roster than most coaches have. Now it's just a matter of figuring some things out, doing enough to make the field of 68, and then seeing if things can break the right way when that single elimination tournament gets underway. Though UK sits at 1-2 in the SEC, I expect it to be 2-2 after beating South Carolina at home on Tuesday night. That conference is going to be too tough to reasonably expect the Wildcats to pull off anything greater than a 4-game winning streak between now and the postseason. There are 7 road tests, plus a home game on January 28th against number 2 Kansas in the final edition of the SEC Big 12 Challenge. So, the losses will stack periodically. However, I expect Kentucky to find some resolve and stiffen its defense. I expect it to notch a few critical Quad 1 victories and ensure it will dodge bubble talk by the second week of March. This is going to wind up being like the team in 2014 that was in the 8-9 game. Because with 5 losses already and probably at least another 5 coming between now and Selection Sunday, it's optimistic to say Kentucky will earn a single-digit seed. I'll say it does narrowly, though, thanks to a good showing in the SEC tournament. And Kentucky's going to beat Kansas later this month.